It's time, my friend, for us to assess things and to stop the clapping and yelling and be very honest. If you saw the president's performance today, I was unimpressed. Didn't do anything for me. We need to work on stagecraft again. Bedminster was very nice for him to do this, but that ain't going to do it. That's not going to do it. And there are some people who just today the theme is we're going to be honest about something. I want to be honest. I have a lot of things to talk about today, which was some about death, masks, speeches, and Matthew Perry. So let me just tell you something. If you are easily annoyed, and if you're easily hurt, and if you're easily offended, this may not be for you tonight. And it's not my goal to do this. It's not what I want to say. Like I wish once and for all we would do a couple of things in addition to everything else. Let's stop this fake love affair with Ayn Rand. Let's just stop this once and for all and say, what are you reading? Oh, Atlas Shrugged, John Gold. It's the most ridiculous, psychopathological, the subjectivism is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. And how people go crazy. I'm thinking, is what Ayn Rand are you talking about? What? It's the same thing when I tell people to say this was kind of a lousy Trump speech. What? I thought, do you have to pay homage and fealty to all these people? Don't you recognize it? The other day I was talking to somebody and I said, I'm getting so tired of all this ridiculous nonsense, this overdone blather about the Beatles. You would have thought I said they were great, but enough with this hero worship. And then the other day we had something, this was very interesting. A friend of mine told me that somebody that he knew and despised and treated him like dog crap died. He says, oh, that's terrible. I said, well, death untimely is terrible, but are you supposed to like someone in death that treated you like crap in life? Have you ever had that one before? What is that all about? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. What are you talking about? It's funny how we fall into these behaviors and we have to stop and ask ourselves. I was talking to somebody today. This really got him going. Today was very interesting for me. And we're talking to somebody about faith. And I said, if there was proof, we wouldn't need faith. I said, I don't know why there's anything in life where we have to have faith in something. Normally, if there's no proof of it, we don't invest, we don't pay attention. But you're asking me to have faith in things that you can't prove. Oh, that didn't go over. So today, it's a very, very, very brutal and fun way to look at things objectively, for all of you Ayn Rand fans. Objectively, to look at things the way they really are and to stop pretending things are different than what reality dictates. So, my friends, sit back, make sure you're subscribed to Lionel Nation. Get ready for this. We've got a lot to talk about. You are really going to dig this. But first, this incredibly important word from our incredibly important sponsor. There's a revolution happening right now above our heads. It's about to make silver more precious than ever. The sun's power is taking over the world. It's growing so fast, it'll be the biggest source of electricity by the 2030s. Solar. Now, here's the kicker. Every single solar panel needs silver to work. We're talking about a silver paste web in every panel, turning sunlight into power. Smart investors are already making their move, and that's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. With a silver IRA, you can surf this incredible wave of growth. It doesn't matter who sits in the White House or what Wall Street does. Solar power is unstoppable, and silver is its secret weapon. As the world goes green, your retirement could be going sterling silver. Don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers in 2024. Visit LionelNationGold.com. You may get up to 10 free brand new 1-ounce silver Trump coins. Listen to that. Or a 10-ounce silver American flag bar with every qualifying IRA. That's LionelNationGold.com. Remember, there's always a risk of investment, and there's no guarantee of any kind. One of the most difficult things to deal with, and that's one of the reasons why I love Mearsheimer so much, is this notion of this thing called realism, to be a realist. And it's a word that people really don't particularly care for. They don't like these terms. They don't like it. They really don't like it because people are so worried about, well, you don't want to offend people. Oh, no. I don't want to offend anybody either. But I'm not going to perpetuate a myth that doesn't make any sense, especially when it comes to politics. I've never met more people who have the most demented view of what I guess the political realm really is. Have you ever met that? Who are the people that I don't want you to mention their names, but who are the people that you deal with on a regular basis where you have to deal with like, this is, do you have friends of yours? Do you have Trump friends of yours that you want to say, listen, he's not magical. It's not perfect. It's not necessarily, everything is not necessarily terrific. Oh no, he's great. Nothing to worry about. Nothing. Everything is exactly as planned. Everything. And I said, I'm with you. We're on the same page. We are on the same page. I want you to understand that. But we can't always say that everything is just groovy because you want it to be. You do understand. I know we could lose this, either have it taken from us. I don't think necessarily. I'm thinking more. I'm leaning towards that, but not the idea of him beating her in a full-fledged battle. I'm hearing new people coming across. Very quickly, do you know the name of the RNC chairman? No. I did a show today with my good friend Mark Simone on WOR. And I said, do you know the name of him? I said, Michael Watley. Doesn't it sound like that British guy, the Irish guy who does the river dance, whatever it is? Michael Watley. Michael Watley. Yeah, you know him. Well, not really, but Michael Watley? Yeah, Michael Watley. What is he doing? I don't know. Well, what do you think is going to happen? I don't know. Do you think we need critical people? Do you think we need important and critical people in order to, dare I say, lead the helm? Do you feel complicated? Do you feel comfortable with the RNC? Anybody? Anybody feel comfortable with that? Better not. I don't feel it. I'm running into people who have these ideas about this. There's like this love affair. Like, we're going to do great because things are just terrific and wonderful and great. And things are just, everything is groovy. And really? Oh, yeah. Everything is just great. Nothing to worry about. Nothing. We're going to do just fine. Everything's just great. Not necessarily. Those people scare me. Stay away from that. So I want to bring that up to your attention. I want to talk about something else which is interesting. The subject came up recently because you are going to see an absolute cavalcade of protests and the like coming up this weekend, or coming up very, very soon, involving, how do I say this? The Democratic, the Democratic convention is going to be, you're going to see a lot of either pro-Palestinians or anti-Israel, depending upon how you see it. You are going to be amazed by this. Amazed. Do you hear what I'm saying? Amazed. And what's also interesting to note, which is critical in all this, is that I don't know if Carmelita has any idea. Did you see, was that Joe Biden today? Did you see Joe? He is worse than anything. If you get the chance to watch what is going on, watch specifically how she is trying her very best to not laugh and guffaw and cachinnate and the like. Watch this very, very carefully. It's most fascinating. And he is totally out of his mind. Let me say something to you. No one is running our country. That may not shock you. That may come as a... This is something that I've got... This alarm bell should go up. The Senate, the House, the Cabinet, Kamala herself, all of them had better be realizing there's something very, very, very scary about this. And don't expect people to notice it, because America, it's, they just don't react. I can't. I have friends of mine, and I'm sure you have them too. We're supposedly in the same side, and they have the political, how do I say this? The political sophistication of a child. They're unable, they know nothing. Everything is just great and groovy. And isn't J.D. Vance great? And I'm thinking, do you think anybody cares about J.D. Vance at this point? What are you talking about? So anyway, I move away, but I remember what they say. Now, in the course of this thing, I saw something very interesting. Years ago, changing the subject just a tad. Years ago, we used to have in many, many states a prohibition against wearing a mask. You could not wear a mask. And the only exception was Halloween, and there was something else. It was pretty much state by state. Did you know that wearing a mask, historically, did you know this was against the law? To obscure your face was a problem, even though you're there in front of them. Carrying a concealed firearm is worse than manual display or open carry, because the concealed firearm is more dangerous, because we want people to know who has a weapon when you are meeting them. Does that make any sense to you? Does that make any sense? Good. You have to understand it. You have to grasp this. You have to understand it. The law says CCF is worse than is worse than open carry, manual display, manual, open and notorious, wearing a 6-shooter, because they want you to be able to see what you're coming up against. And some respects, the concealed firearm is actually safer, because it doesn't draw or cause people to react. Okay. So there were these statutes that prohibited masks. And we didn't know exactly what a mask was. What about a beard? What about somebody who decides to grow his beard out like, Gentleman Dan Haggerty or something, and then all of a sudden rob a bank and then shave his beard? It's almost like, isn't that a sense of obfuscating one's look? Do you understand this? Do you understand this? Do you grasp it? And I would always love to argue the point, and nobody, lay people didn't understand it, but it was such a perfect kind of a law school exercise, asking, but what about this? What does it mean to obscure? Wearing sunglasses and a hat? How about a fake beard? Sunglasses and a hat and a fake beard are not illegal, but wearing a mask is. How does that work? And the mask only covers your mouth. And we'd argue this point, and it was it was so fascinating. There are masks now that you are seeing that have been, you can see this online, that the CIA have produced, that are so good. And so, they are unbelievable. Not like that old man rubber mask that people wear, but really, really good. Really good. Okay. Then came COVID. COVID changed everything. People wearing masks. You couldn't go into a bank without a mask. And I said, this is not going to be good. First of all, the masks don't work because we were saying at the time, if you can smell things, if you're wearing a cloth, they would have these Gucci and Givenchy and these cloth kind of like bandanas. That doesn't work to prevent any kind of virus. It's like a mosquito through a chain link fence. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. Nobody paid attention. But we were used to it. Then there are people today, have you seen them, who are still addicted to the mask. Do you know that nothing gets me more angry than somebody wearing a mask now? And I don't know why. It's a free country, but I'm thinking, you're wearing a mask. What do you think? Fauci said this. The masks don't work. They were thought of as kind of, but they became they fueled Karens, and they fueled, oh my God, they created people that we despise. Don't you remember? People, you would see people driving in cars by themselves wearing a mask. You would see people in a car or whatever wearing that what am I trying to say? That welder's mask or that thing. It made no sense. Made no sense at all. None of it made no sense whatsoever. And people loved the mask. And today there's a CVS we go to, and the manager has a mask under her chin. It's not a mask anymore. It's a chin warmer. I don't know what it is. It's a diaper or something else. Fat. I could go on and on about the mask. But all the while I said, what you're doing is you're encouraging the commission of anonymous crimes, because now we're apparently waiving and abrogating these laws that were normally instilled or initially to prevent people from wearing a mask, to prevent the hidden identity. So as I'm looking through this, I came across this, and it's in the news. There's all kinds of great stories about it. I think even Dershowitz did a little piece about it, and it was kind of interesting. It was a rather kind of a perfunctory look at it, but it's very interesting. Being anonymous is important. The Federalist Papers, Alexander Hamilton, Publius, you know the story. Anonymous. When can you be anonymous? When can't you? If I want to protest, and I believe, whether you believe, and believe me, you can argue whatever you want regarding Israel. If you believe that there should be protests and you want to join the scores of students and the like at universities, if you want to join them, but you don't want your face to be seen because you don't want to maybe one day have your future, your college, or your ability to get a good paying job ruined or sidelined because of your participation. And you want to wear a mask because you're afraid of what would happen. They've told you specifically, should you be able to wear a mask to prevent your identity? Yes or no? Now that's the first question. Should or are, if you will, mask prohibitions constitutional when we just had mandatory mask wearing, which is the strangest? That changed. But what if you're saying, I don't want to wear a mask to obscure my face and my identity to allow me to commit some kind of crime? I'm doing it because I don't want to get COVID. I still am afraid of COVID. I don't want to get SARS-CoV-2. I want to wear a mask. It worked before, right? You wanted me to wear. I couldn't go into banks. I couldn't go into public transportation. I want to do this now. I still live in dread fear. So while I have a right to protest under the First Amendment, why can't I wear a mask? It's the greatest question ever. How can you tell one versus the other? What if I paint my face? What if I wear a fake beard? I go to the usual thing. I wear goggles, wear a helmet. Antifa wears, in essence, a mask. They wear helmets. These are those topics I love, because it's, what about this? What about that? Well, what about this? Well, what if we change that? What if you wear a mask not to necessarily prevent your identification? I don't even know why it's happening. What if this is your um, uh, means of expression? We used to have a thing in New York City, Times Square, called Das Nudas, and the nudes. And believe it or not, in the state of New York, being topless, male or female, is not against the law. I do not understand why women cannot be topless. I do not understand. I do not understand. I do not understand what that means. What do you mean? What does topless denote? Is it the nipple area, the areola? Is it the actual breast? You can see cleavage and décolletage and all that stuff. And what is and what isn't covered, how much covered? I don't understand it. But a man can walk around in the sun. Believe me, I don't want to see. It's not from a personal point of view. I don't want to see it, but to be constitutionally consistent, I've never understood it. Well, apparently in the state of New York, everything's fine. You can, there is no prohibition. Okay. I never understood that. I never understood what is the big deal. And covering up, very frankly, the nipple area with what they used to call in the old days pasties, that was my favorite. It's like, is it the breast that gets you or the nipple that gets you? What is the thing that freaks you out? Why is that acceptable? I don't understand it. What if through some kind of accident, somebody did not have a nipple? Would that be okay? Here's one for you. There was a man one time on Phil Donahue, and he was a big practical joker. Oh, no, he did dares, all kinds of dares. By the way, today's subject matter, J.D. Vance will demolish, decimate, and destroy Tampon Tim AWOLz in debate. We'll get to that. At the time I wrote that title, I changed my mind. Anyway, so this guy was on Phil Donahue, and his friends paid him or offered him like $25,000 if he had breast implants. Would he, if he wore them a year? I don't know what doctor would do this. I guess there was no prohibition. This is years ago. So I believe it was Phil Donahue. He shows up and he says, yep, I had them. And you can see him through his shirt. You can see his bosom or whatever you want to call it. Okay, fine. During the course of it, he opened up his shirt to show the audience, and they pixelated or blacked out. And that stopped me then. Even then, I thought, why is that prohibited? He is a man. He has silicone or saline or something placed in his wall, the wall of his chest. Had he done it to beef up his pecs, it would be different. Why are they pixelated? He's not a woman. Those aren't real breasts. It fascinated me. I just love all these. We had a thing in Tampa years ago, for those who were from the area. You probably don't know this, but years ago there was a thing called, I used to be on radio there and used to love talking about this. On the causeway between Tampa and Clearwater, you go across the causeway, Courtney Campbell Causeway right there. They had these things called bikini hot dog vendors, these bikini, no, thong. They had women wearing thongs. I remember when thongs were, the first time I ever saw one was at a place called Frenchie's on in Clearwater Beach. They had great grouper cheeks, and it's wonderful. And there was a woman there wearing a thong, and I thought to myself, I never saw him before. I said, okay. I never understood it. And as many people would say, many people should not have those. Okay. Oh, it's a very good one. Look at this. Soul 76 says, what about old man boobs? Those are legal breasts. That would be gynecomastia or just, you're right, by virtue of gravity or whatever. It's a very, very, very good point. So anyway, make a long story short, there was these women. This was at the time when thongs were brand new. So these women were selling hot dogs on the side of Courtney Campbell of the Causeway, where it was kind of like a beach. Okay. For some reason, the town fathers went crazy because they were doing this. And I was on the air and I'm saying, they're at a beach. If you walk over 20 feet, there's people on a towel wearing the same thing. What are you going crazy over? Because somebody's making an honest living. And the lines, men were showing up to buy the hot dogs. It was in all the papers. And I said, hey, schmuck, they're over here. Why don't you just get your lunch and you see this all over the place. What is about this little food truck that's making you so crazy? Doesn't matter. I don't know why. Forbidden fruit, who knows what. There was a statute somebody wrote defining what is and isn't acceptable in terms of the buttocks. And they referred to the anal cleft. And they referred to the angle of the underhang. It was the most brilliant anatomical geographic navigation of the buttocks you've ever heard. I realized they've lost their minds. Absolutely went crazy with this. So anyway, but it's one of those things. It's the same thing as this. They're wearing a mask. You're wearing masks all the time. Yeah, but you can't wear it during a protest. Why? Well, you can't. What is COVID now is no problem? What about monkeypox? I'm worried about monkeypox. This is the thing which I wish I could make everybody do almost automatically. Immediately ask yourself the question, does this make any sense? Is this logical? Is this constitutional? Does it make any sense whatsoever? Now, the next story I want to tell you is one that's really getting me. Matthew Perry, I've got to tell you something, and I want you to listen to me, and I want you to understand something. I understand that alcoholism and drug abuse and drug addiction are terrible things, and but I don't want to be near them. I don't like these people. I don't want to be anywhere near these people. You got it? I don't want to be anywhere near them. I don't like these people. I just don't want. I just don't. Some people can be marvelously. They can be wacky, but a lot of times, drug addiction and alcohol addiction can be very, very selfish. Whatever it is. Everybody's got their own thing. I'm not gonna. Okay, fine. Matthew Perry also had something, and I'm sorry, forgive me. This is so petty of me. God forgive me. They're going to put me, I'm sure there's a place in hell for what I'm about to say. Something about his mouth that just drove me nuts. Whenever he spoke, I don't know what it was. I don't know. It drove me crazy. I'm a mouth person. I'm sorry. I can't help it. So then he came out. He was a guy who was he was so out of his mind. It's very sad. How much did they make per episode? $1 million. And they were so smart with friends. They all stood together and they said, we're all for one for all, whatever. $1 million for a show that you'll never see again. The likes of that money, never. Seinfeld money, never. So we got into his addiction, and it was sad. When they had that Friends reunion, oh my God, he stood there and didn't say anything. Remember? Did you ever see the reunion with Mary Tyler Moore when they brought Mary Tyler Moore to? I think it was not Golden Girls, but Hot in Cleveland. It was the most frightening thing. She was very ill, blind through diabetes, blind. I don't know why they did it. It made me very sad, very upset. There she was, this one of the most talented people. Mary Tyler Moore show was one of the greatest shows. Ensemble gave us Ted Baxter, which was a critical moment in my history. So Friends was it. Okay, fine. So there's Matthew Perry. And Matthew Perry, towards the end of his life, was going on every show saying, "Don't join the 10. I'm an addict. I'm an addict. If that's an addict, I'm an addict. Okay, I'm an addict. Don't you know this is being an addict? Okay, all right." And he's yelling at everybody. He's an addict. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Take it easy. He gets $20 million a year since it's been on the air. Yep, $20 million a year. Residuals, Brad, like he can't play. Well, used to. Anyway. So now they find him in his pool or whatever it is, his hot tub, and he's dead on ketamine. So now what are they doing? They're going after the queen of ketamine, the doctor, the guy who is his live-in assistant. And all of a sudden, they're going after them. They're going after these people. Isn't that great? Why? Why these people? What's so special about Matthew Perry? We've got fentanyl deaths all the time. I know where they come from. China for some of the substrates and the chemicals, the precursors. Mexico. I was on TV one time, and it was during the time of Philip Seymour Hoffman. Remember that? They found Philip Seymour Hoffman dead. You see him walking around one time. We were at Joe's Pub one time, and I was in the men's room at the urinal, and who comes up but Philip Seymour Hoffman. How are you? Interesting. Yep. How you doing? Great. It's so funny. People are in elevators, they're next to each other, they don't look at each other. But you can be standing there in a John with whatever, and hey, how are you? Good. Terrific. It's very interesting. YouTube says, I'm addicted to maple bacon bar donuts. You are not addicted. And by the way, may you never have an actual addiction where when you were to stop it, you could die. There are people who, especially through some alcohol, for example, in some cases, if you were to stop, you will die. Respiration ceases. The word addiction is a very special term of art. I do not believe in sex addiction. I don't believe in that. I'm addicted. I'm a sexual. Okay. You're not addicted to that. It's not an addiction. Gambling is not an addiction per se, because to me, addiction means physical, not mental, not I really have to do this, or compulsive behavior. It can be compulsive, it can be a lot of things, but addiction is a special term. It's a addicted to love, Robert Palmer. So why are they going after these doctors to go after this guy? Well, because Matthew Perry, we're going after him. So anyway, so when Philip Seymour Hoffman died, I said, oh, I know where it came from. We were doing live TV, and they said, what? Oh, I know where it came from. Make another. Afghanistan. Hamid Karzai and his brother. Those are the fields that we are, because you needed the opium and the poppy. That's where we're getting it from. We're protecting it. We have U.S. troops. Oh, they didn't like that, but surrounding these things. I mean, he knows what he's doing. I think one doctor they accuse of, they go, what is it, a bottle? He was getting like $2,000 a prescription versus $20 or so. Whatever. $12. Okay, fine. Because he was addicted. Do you think they should charge him with murder because he administered. Now, if you're administering, if you're like one of these, remember John Belushi, the woman who gave him the, that's a very interesting. I don't think she's with us anymore, but the woman who gave him the speedball. When you are involved in injecting someone, when you're involved in injecting someone and you kill them, I understand that. You don't have to explain that liability to me. You actually put a needle in their arm and you shot them and they died. Yeah, I can see that one. No problem with that. Whether it's drugs or whether it's anything else for that matter. Very, very, very dangerous. But I am disgusted over the fact of how we are so stupid. Somebody in, I guess, LA says, I'm gonna show them. We're gonna indict these people. Why? Well, because it's Matthew Perry. Who the hell's Matthew Perry? There was a little girl here in, remember one up a town in Harlem or something, at a nursery school, and the teacher's aide had, I guess, opioids or fentanyl or something, and the kid touched it and died. Now, that would be a good one. That's worth prosecuting. I mean, they did sort of, but not at the level of Matthew Perry. The Brad says it's a Michael Jackson case all over again. Very interesting, yes. Michael Jackson. When somebody, this was propofol. Remember that milk of amnesia? That one Dr. Conrad, what was his name? We had Dr. Feelgood, who used to shoot up John Kennedy, the president. There was Dr. Nick. Remember him with Elvis? Remember that? This has been around forever. I mean, I don't know what. I've always had the worst time. And maybe this goes back for years and years because I go into kind of like a reflex reaction. How do you handle drugs? How do you handle drugs? I'm not going to solve a drug problem. In this country, if you want to kill yourself with drugs, I can't help you. I can't help you. As long as you don't drive under the influence or give it to kids. If you want to kill yourself, go ahead. I can't. Freedom is really a tough thing. I know that sounds like a terrible thing. I don't know if things should be, quote, legal or not, but for something that is illegal. Now, what I don't understand is if you're doing something because of this addiction, and there are people around you who can't stop, and we've seen this since the beginning of time, especially people in showbiz and the whole bit, and and sometimes they will involve themselves in, they get hurt, they go to a doctor, they're in pain. I had a friend of mine who was a physician who used fentanyl it was prescribed, saved his life. Fentanyl is a very good stuff. What you're seeing is not fentanyl. Stuff on the street is something that's fake. Thank you, Lou. So do you think anywhere in the course of this should there be any discussion from President Trump as far as drugs go? No. Absolutely not. Stay away from that one like you can't believe. What does that make you think of? Hunter. The fact that Hunter Biden could be involved in so many drugs, have pictures of it, have the Secret Service basically pay for hookers. That's the one that drives me crazy. But so that you know this, if you want to kill yourself, if that is what, there is no law that I can think of. Now, I mean, you can try if your family is trying to do some kind of involuntary commitment. Are any of you, do you have somebody in your family right this moment, your family, friends, maybe you, who is seriously laboring under a very serious drug or alcohol addiction? Do you know this? Have you seen this? Have you ever been through that? Have you ever seen it? It's horrible. It's, you want to, it's like, why are you putting us through this? It changes everything. And the drugs that we have right now, it's Unbelievable. Look at the number of people. David and Daniel, and just right through it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Have you gone online and looked at the place? And I hope they're cleaning it up. It's in Philly. It's in Philly, called Kensington. Have you seen this? Please. You can't believe what it is. And I think this mayor, she's trying her best. And people they're zombies. They're all over the place. And they're in these frozen, contorted positions. Have you ever seen these people? There was a comedian who said, it looks like they're doing Tai Chi. No, he saw a bunch of Tai Chi people. He thought they were heroin addicts. Have you ever seen them? They do this. They're bent over and they're frozen and they're whatever. I hope you understand something. But if I ran the president of the country, I would say we're going to pick them up, and we're going to put them on a bus, and we're going to take them to a place outside of here. And if you want to do this, if you really want to kill yourself, we're not going to give it to you, but you're not going to do this in front of people. Then I would take water cannons and spray off the blood and the needles and the grime and the dirt from the sidewalks. What is going on with us? Is this even coming up? I don't think anybody's going to talk about it. So this is one of the things I don't grasp. I don't understand it. When you've got a relative, if you've got someone in your family, what are you supposed to do? Drag them into some kind of program? What? What are you supposed to do? When they've got kids and you're saying you're killing yourself and you love them, what are you supposed to do? Force them into it? I mean, it's really serious stuff. You know what's also interesting is that why don't some people get addicted? Anybody here on meth? Have you ever tried meth? I would never try meth. Now, I don't expect a pat on the back. I don't expect that. I'm not asking you to pray but what a great guy. No, but I do know, I've heard about that. I don't want to start that. That is no good. I've heard nothing but when people involve themselves in weed and things like, well, at least you've heard it. You've seen people. They're not necessarily passed out. You know a little bit about it. Okay. Cocaine in the 80s, people would do it. It was a little bit sort of, at first it was very, very, it seemed benign until people started to get addicted. And we say, stop that. But who is it who would start this now, today? Let me also say something before we forget. The people they're not overdosing. They're being killed. They're killed by these opioid, but fentanyl. They're being killed, and there's stuff, this xylazine and Tranquil is off the charts. Okay, enough with that. I want you to ask yourself this question. Do you as an American have the right to use drugs? And if you do, and you do something, if Matthew Perry says, okay, I know what I'm doing, he's calling these people up, he's ordering it, you're going to go after a doctor? You're going to go after a doctor who made money when big pharma in this country is making billions? I don't want to go through that argument again, but do you see the hypocrisy of this? Do you see we're going after this doctor and we're going to ruin him and everybody else because they dared give this guy? You've got that family, what's the name of that family with the OxyContin? I mean, come on. I don't understand. We are a country of hypocrites. Absolute hypocrites. And going back to what I said before, we have people who now want to say, you can't wear a mask if you're protesting. You could wear a mask in a CVS. You can wear a mask if you're driving. But if you go to Columbia University to protest Israel, you can't wear a mask. Do you not stop and ask yourself, this is insanity? Have you ever been paralyzed by something that appears to you so stupid, so incredible? How about the fact that we have Joe Biden, who's out of his mind and nobody's talking. And there is Kamala who's standing next to him and says, Joe, you notice how she catches herself? Next question. Mrs. L and I were talking today about this. Now listen to me carefully. Do you think that Kamala may be wearing an earpiece? That somebody may get to her, maybe from, and there are DARPA, there are folks, there are people from our military, from our, you name it. There are folks that just, we've got, oh my God, technology you cannot believe. Do you think she's wearing this now? Drowning says yes, definitely. Why do you think she's wearing it? Why Drowning? Drowning in Music says yes, yes, yes. Why do you think? Why do you think she's doing it? Mad P says, I've been clean over 13 years, and a drug habit is a level of hell I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But I can still enjoy Pink Floyd albums totally sober. God bless you. God bless you. To be clean and sober. And keep in mind what also happens. The rewiring of your brain. That's the thing which is fascinating. How your brain is rewired. Fascinates me. It's not just the fact that you're doing this, but it's rewired. It's an incredible story. So let me ask you this question. The reason why I'm saying this, the reason why we're bringing up Kamala is a couple of things. First and foremost, we are noticing, in fact, Mrs. L brought this up, we're noticing that when she is asked the question, or when, you notice how we say asked? It comes out asked. He asked him a question. A-S-T, we're saying asked. We're not saying asked. We never do. We don't say Wednesday. We say Wednesday. Anyway. When she's asked the question, she pauses. Have you noticed that? When she's asked a question, she pauses. Is it because they are getting her, they are training her, they are getting her to reconsider, to rework the way she speaks? It's fascinating. George Lenz says that's plausible because she can't function. She cannot speak clearly, pardon me, she cannot speak without there being some nervous laughter. She is not the dumbest person. The dumbest person, I want you to know, is Tiffany Henyard. We'll get to that later. I watched Tiffany Henyard speak, the mayor of Dalton, D-O-L-T-O-N, Illinois, and I am transfixed. Maybe I'll play some old Tiff for you tomorrow. Kevin says, if wearing an earpiece, she should ask for her money back. Well, I'll tell you, Kevin, it's a good point. It's a very difficult thing to do it, to try to converse and to work and to act normally when you're speaking, because it's a very unnatural thing for you to do that, for you to try to speak because you're hearing something. You can't have somebody talk the lines to you. You know, they do it on Broadway all the time. They do it all the time. They supposedly said Pacino did it and others. Marlon Brando never learned lines ever. He read cards and that sort of thing. Now, the question is going to be this. They are going to go after J.D., not J.D. They're going to go after Tampon Timmy AWOLz like you have not believed. And she is not going to be able to handle that. She won't know what to do. They can't bounce him. They can't get rid of him, but they didn't vet the vet. And this is going to pick up a momentum, the likes of which you cannot believe. And they have a number of things ready to go. How many of you saw the president today at Bedminster? How many of you? How many did today? Did you see him? Did you see his He was talking about it's a nice day. It didn't rain. It's a nice day. It's a nice day. It's good rain. You like this? Good temp. Remember that? You see that? What was your take on this? I know you loved it, right? Could he have perhaps polished that up just a little bit? This is where we start off. Could he have done something to perhaps fix his presentation? You cannot waste people's time during something. Everything has to be stagecrafted. If you're going to speak to people like that, it was almost like a miniature rally. You've got to have things to say. You can't have papers, and you can't say things like, and the TikToks, the TikToks years ago. No, that's not what people want to hear. Every single time you speak, remember, the question is, it's not for you. How does anybody think that was excellent? How did anybody think, watching that some undecided independent or undecided voter is going to say, I love this guy. I'm voting for him. You know what? Forget Kamala. I'm voting for this guy. He said that the economy is terrible. I didn't know that. Are you kidding me? Seriously? Does anybody really think that what you saw today? My jaw dropped. I thought, what is going on here? Anybody who watches him who says, you know what, I'm going to listen to him. It was a dog. It was absolutely a dog. Everything he said was, what are you kidding me? Every time is critical. They're going to be playing this and separating it and breaking it apart. You have to always leave early. Make them want more. Make it sound like tell them, I've got 10 things I want to say. Number 5, thank you very much. Boom. I'm going to be hearing you again. And make sure each one is your top stuff. I'm going to say something to you. Economic talk is boring. Nobody wants to hear it. We've been hearing about it and the economy. We know about the economy. Everybody talks about the economy. That doesn't sell anybody. Okay, yeah, we're going to the economy. Fine. What is the thing right off the bat that would get these people's attention? I've been telling you, and I'm going to say it again. The issue that drives people the craziest. The issue is what we're doing to children, either because of gender issues or parental primacy, whatever it is. Kids, sex, sports, men in sports. It's the thing, let me say this, that everybody agrees with. And the very first thing to say is, if you want one reason, one difference between Kamala and me, is that I don't think we should be able to touch your little kid. I don't think your little kid should be messed with by some busybody social worker who hears your child say something about, or maybe is susceptible to them wanting to be a boy or a girl or to change sex. She does. Under a Kamala administration, and by the way, let's stop kidding ourselves. There is no Kamala. It's whatever they hand her to sign. She is going to be a slave, a robot. She's going to be an errand girl for the Democratic woke, fascistic, radical lib wing. Don't kid yourself. Thank you. Vote for me. Boom. Right off the bat. Have somebody's jaw drop and say, what was that again? You're going to hear about this. Somebody in your school, your child's school, you're going to find out, had some type of unauthorized procedure that somebody took that child away, went before a court, had an administrative hearing, an emergency hearing. A guardian ad litem was appointed. You had no say whatsoever, and they're going to bring your kid back surgically altered and chemically fixed, neutered, spayed. If you think that's a good idea, vote for her. Remember what I told you. Never say vote for me. If you think men beating up women in a boxing ring and getting a medal, if that's okay for you, vote for her. Call me old-fashioned. I think that's nuts. Vote for her. She's not going to bring that up. Ask her. She's not going to bring that up. Title IX, Title IX. Did you ever see this? I'm telling you, go through all of the photos. Look at these freaks. Look at these perverts and degenerates. Look at these people at the White House. Look how they sullied and damaged the reputation of our great. That's your people's house. Look at this guy walking around with a leather pants. He looks like a Village People reject with the fingernails and he's dressed. Look at this guy showing up at the White House with a beard and a gold lame dress. If you don't think that's weird, if you think that's great, vote for her. This guy's 6'4". He's walking around with a beard and a peignoir. Let's stop this crap. If you think that makes sense, vote for her. This is nuts. Nuts. These people fought like dogs, fought tooth and nail to keep drag shows in public schools. If you think scaring the hell out of a kid with some kind of a divine, some John Waters dystopian nightmare, if you want children to go through that, vote for her. This is the low-hanging fruit. What is he talking about? Economy, inflation, go for this stuff. Most people would say, I would have killed to have this. My opponent wasn't for this. Yours is. What are you doing? What are you doing? If you think having a guy walking around wearing Depends, okay, and talking to himself and whispering and smelling little kids' hair and being affrontive, and if you ask me, sexually inappropriate, if you think that's okay, vote for her. She covers for him. And that degenerate son, vote for them. They don't believe in anything. Nothing. If you think it's okay for some vice presidential candidate to lie about not being, or lie about, I guess, being a command sergeant major, you don't make a mistake with that. What is the matter with these people? All I'm asking is that people tell the truth. This is the most degenerate, the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. What is the matter with this? If this doesn't bother you, vote for her. And just go down the list. You will captivate people. You will freak them out. They'll say, holy God, somebody doesn't know this. I will bet you anything that every single person who was processed, who was looked at, met and greeted, signed either a voting proxy or what amounts to it, or an absentee voting, when they came in, boom, 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 and they got a vote. Almost like a vote, I don't know how to phrase it, but almost like a voter proxy. You don't let those people in because you've got a soft spot for Pedro and his wife from Guadalajara. No, they don't care about anything. They're heartless, these bastards. Can Lara Trump talk about that? No. Can Michael Watley talk about that? No. She's too busy going on the Judge Janine show. What the hell's the matter with these people? You watch what happens. That's the thing that scares me. I like when they say, well, they're going to steal it. Steal it? It might not be stealing at all. They can say, not only are these people going to vote, we've got a permanent Democratic majority from now until kingdom come. But we're going to get a 51st state. We're going to repeal the filibuster. We're going to pack the Supreme Court. Oh, we're done. We are going to win this from now on because you weren't paying attention. because Lara Trump and these others were pretending, and Ronna McDaniel and these other, I don't know what the hell these people, but they have CPAC stuff. I mean, they love this stuff. They just love this. They love this Charlie Kirk stuff and this one, and I don't know. Maybe you think that's a substitute for action, but there are people who just love to sit around and they just have these parties. Aren't we great? Meanwhile, they're like this. They're doing visible, biometric scans of all these people. We got them. We got them. We know where everybody is. Well, they'll vote like this. You think we just brought people in just for the hell of it? You think we risked everything just so that why? And it was so good that when Tucker Carlson dared to call it the replacement theory, they said, you're a racist. That's when you know you're right. So meanwhile, we're talking about I don't know what. And with all due respect to that great man, President Trump, what the hell are you doing? You're boring me. We're running out of time here. You've got 82 days. 82 days, that's it. What are we doing here? Now, J.D. Vance, if you don't go in for the kill, if you don't stomp him, I don't know what to tell you. They're not ruthless. They don't. I don't want you to get scared, but I want you to be alert. And I want you to understand something. They're going to do everything in their power to win this. But what are we doing? I don't know. I don't know. They're going to wait till you see they're going to bring this Central Park 5, these young men, these black kids. There was a Central Park jogger who was brutally raped and almost left for dead. Thank you, Captain Clockwork. And I have talked to so many cops about this. But the idea is that these poor kids were out there. Maybe they were in the wrong place, but they were innocently charged with rape of this woman. Turns out somebody else did it. They matched his DNA. And these people were, I think one's in the city council or something. Okay, we're not going to get into this, but that case stinks to high heaven. The official story was that they were mistreated. They were charged because they were black, and they're as innocent as the day is long. Okay. Around that time, Donald Trump put out a full-page ad in the New York Times or something about the death penalty. And they said something like, why am I for the death penalty? And it wasn't about this case per se, but just in general, because he was very, very mad. Because I want people to understand how angry we are, something to that effect, some words. And they're going to highlight this. They're going to say that somehow Donald Trump is a racist or something. But they're going to waste their time with this. They're going to bring this case that everybody forgot. Anything that's called the Central Park. And this is where they're going to go. This is what they're going to do. So what's Trump's counter to this going to be? What's Trump's counter? What should he do? He doubles down. He tells people, let me make it very clear. As far as these innocent kids, the courts have spoken. We're not going to relitigate that. But let me tell you something. I make no bones about it. I was for the death penalty then, and I'm for it now. Because if anybody hurts one of your kids, if anybody hurts your wife or your husband and destroys what means the most, he can just own this. And they're so stupid, they're telling people what they're going to do. They're stupid. They're handing this to Trump the night of the convention. He should all of a sudden go live on X or whatever it is and say, I don't change anything I've ever said at all. I think we need it more than ever. They're not afraid of anything. They're not afraid of it. And if you let this nutcase in who wanted to actually bail these people out who destroyed and did worse, you're out of your mind. If you think that's okay, fine, you vote for her. But if you want law and order and you want to be able to sleep, there was a time when we used to actually say that we never even locked the door. There are some businesses here in New York that are open 24 hours a day. They do not have a key to the front door. They've never locked it, ever, to this day. Now, they've got tremendous security. I wouldn't go there in the middle of the night. There's some places in Little Korea, hardest working people in the world, they don't close ever. Anyway, Trump's got to double down on this. He's got to do it. I don't know who's telling him. He's got to plan the narrative. He's got to double team her. He's got to drop information right at the time of this. Take away from her time. Be underhanded. All of a sudden, as she's getting ready to say, what's going on? People are looking at their phone. What are they doing? Trump's on Twitter. Oh, X. What? He's doing it now. He's got a viewer's guide. He basically has your script or whatever it is, and he's telling everybody what not to do or what to do in the front. Think about that. As she's about to speak, he's preempting her, and people are looking at him, and CNN's breaking away. And I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about some old Central Park 5 guy. No, I want to talk what Trump's doing, and Trump's got to hit her hard. And Trump's got to be in front of a Minneapolis on fire. Look at this. Look at this. The families, the people, the kids. I mean, he's got to get dirty. He's got to get dirty. He's got to be underhanded. He's got to be preemptive. He has got to absolutely steal their thunder. He can't get sloppy. He can't think that, well, they love me or it worked before, it'll work again. And they need real adults in there. And I'm sure Lara Trump is a beautiful person, but she just wants to do it because she just wants the fame. And you know that you look, you know the story. I don't have to go through it. You can look at this crew and tell you who's in charge. You can tell what they want. You can tell what's going on. I don't have time. I don't want to, I can't imagine this president losing. So if I say something that may hurt your feelings, I'm sorry, but I don't want to lose this. And if I have to tell him this stuff, and if I have to say, what was it? What did you do this afternoon? What was that? That was the most boring piece of waste of time I've ever seen in my life. What are you doing to me? What did you throw this together at the last minute? You're standing there with a piece of paper and what? Nobody learned. You left people, you bored people. You can't. You've got to drop the bomb on these people all the time. Figuratively. All right? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense? Captain Clockwork, Kevin, George Lenz, Mad Peace, Lou Lewis, The Brad, YouTube, Soul 76, and Joe Rapolo, by the way, our new members. Let me ask you something. Do I make sense to you? Yes or no? Do I make sense? Tell me what I've said that's wrong. Tell me what I've said that's wrong. Tell me. Whose birthday is it? Nick? Is it Nikki? Is it Nightingale's birthday? Oh my God. God bless you. Nikki, God bless. Take a bow. Have some crumb cake. How about a big it's Nightingale, right, Nikki? Unbelievable. Happy birthday, you nut you. You nut. You're a nut. Big Warriors fan, he's the best. Everybody drop to your knees, look up to heaven and say thank you. Thank you for Nick Nightingale. What a name, Nick Nightingale. Is that beautiful or what? Number 42, the Kansas City Chiefs. Nick Nightingale. 78 years old. There we go. They call him El Pejo. All right, my friends, you have a great, remember Nick Nightingale. And by the way, I'm ordering right now. If it's about 8:30 tonight at 10 p.m. all over the country in honor of Nick's birthday. I want everybody driving to put their front lights on 10 p.m. tonight all over the country. 10 p.m. in honor of Nick. Drive with your front lights on. Of your way of saying, way to go, my friend. And I mean that sincerely. Well, that was a good one. All right, kids. Also, don't forget to follow, to sign up for Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors right here on YouTube. Lynn's Warriors. It's a beaut. And follow her on X or Twitter. I still can't say X. I can't. At Lynn's Warriors also. LYNNS __ Warriors. All right, friends. You have a great and a glorious and a beautiful and an incredible night. We're going to get this. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. And until then, as we always say, remember these words, this finale, this sayonara, this valedictory, this, I don't want to say denouement, but whatever. Remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you.